Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of my lecture. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the third requirement for the admissibility of a valid confessional statement. And without further ado, let's go straight to my lecture. When it comes to the third requirement, it states that a confessional statement is only admissible against the maker and not anyone else, even against his own accomplice, that's the maker's accomplice, as stated in the case of GRANGE versus FRN, and can be seen in section 29 subsection 4 of our Evidence Act, as stated in the case of DIBIE versus the state. So the very important question therefore that we should ask is, what can we find in section 29 subsection 4 of the Evidence Act? And if we look at section 29 subsection 4, it tells us that where more persons than one are charged jointly with an offense, and a confession made by one of such persons in the presence of one or more of the others so charged is given in evidence, the court shall not take such statement into consideration as against any of such persons in whose presence it was made, unless he adopted the said statement by words or conduct. Okay, so this is very instructional and you need to understand. So we are saying that we have Taye, Kehinde, Idowu, Alaba. 4 people were alleged to have, murdered the person, and those 4 people were arraigned, and then, a trial was started for those 4 people. And then all of a sudden, Taye then decided to give a confessional statement. There was a trial within trial, and the confessional statement was therefore admissible. Now, after Taye had given his confessional statement, the prosecution automatically said, well, if Taye has given a confessional statement, and in his confessional statement, he, said that Idowu, Kehinde, Alaba were all together in doing this, one person's confessional statement, therefore, has already gotten all of them in the loop for the crime. What section 29 subsection 4 is telling us is that the fact that one person, Taye in this case, has made a confessional statement doesn't mean that Kehinde, Idowu and Alaba would therefore go to prison the same way Taye is going to prison because he has confessed. No. However, when that has happened, the court is going to look at that particular evidence only for Taye. For Kehinde, Idowu and Alaba, the court will look at the evidence that has been admitted by the prosecution in relation to their cases individually. Do you understand that? So, for example, there was this Miriam Sanders case, and I will implore you to watch the video I made on my YouTube channel in case you want to get abreast with the fact. So, in this particular Miriam Sanders case here, Miriam Sanders killed her husband. After she killed her husband, they rushed the husband to the hospital, so she was in the hospital. Allegedly, according to the fact that was presented by the prosecution in that case, I think Miriam Sanders versus FRN, because I followed the court proceedings, virtually, not that I went to the court. But then, according to the case, what the court was trying to show us, because her house girl was then part of the co-defendant, her house girl was supposed to be an accessory after the fact. In criminal law, you would know that an accessory after the fact is somebody who, after the crime has been committed, must have helped in concealing the crime. So do you understand? Now, in this case, we have the house girl who is the defendant, and we have Miriam Sanders who is the main defendant in the suit. Now they are saying that the house girl cleaned the blood after Miriam Sanders had rushed the husband to the hospital. Miriam Sanders instructed the house girl to clean the blood. Now in that particular case, imagine that Miriam Sanders confesses and also confessed that she sent the house girl to go and clean the blood. The fact that Miriam Sanders has made that particular confession does not mean that the house girl is guilty of being an accessory after the fact on the face of it, on the face of that confession only. No, it doesn't mean so. The court will have to look at other evidence outside the confession, especially in relation to the house girl. For Miriam Sanders, she's guilty, she has confessed. But for the house girl, she is not guilty. It is innocent until proven guilty. And the fact that one person has confessed does not mean that this person has also been guilty. Do you understand? So that exactly is the disposition of the court. In the US and also in practice, when you have more than one defendant and you want to secure a conviction, what they most likely do is that they will make one of them, instead of making all of them, co-defendants, they will make one sign a deal where he will get a shorter sentence or something, and then he will now be the main person in the trial, the main key witness of the prosecution in the trial. So we have Taye Kehinde Idowu and Alaba. Now they went to murder. All of them are supposed to die on a normal day, but let's say there is a weak link. The weak link is this person wasn't active in the murder, but let's say that he was the one that drove them there and drove them out of the place. Do you understand? So when the police found out and all that, they now realized that, okay, we would have said that you are part of this whole group, but let us just give you 5 years. If you are able to tell us what happened, explain everything, we are going to go to prison for 5 years, as against you being killed or you being in prison for the rest of your life. So we'll give you 5 years prison sentence. Now come and explain to us, explain to the court how exactly all these things unfolded. You can see that this person, who ordinarily is supposed to be a co-defendant, has become a star witness for the prosecution. So instead of making that person a co-defendant who is then going to give a confessional statement that is only admissible and can be used by the court only against him, the person that gave the confessional statement, you can instead cut a deal with the person, tell the person to tell the court as your star witness what transpired on that day, and yes, you are more likely to get a conviction for those of the other murderers if you follow that route than if you follow the initial route where he gives his confessional statement. So with this, we end my lecture on the third requirement. Then we go to the next and the fourth requirement on the admissibility of a valid confession, and I will see you in my next class.